e ne wat banyo yak jingai mensim lada persang banle yak kanu kakam kababha hau babun balang penban hagapakot la banong bakakam hi bonsin kakren khamjam panya kaktien habai dei barkani hagani kakanti ga bamanta UT7 loyo banyakren batu secretary bade atadu executive director Bethany society u kormo no ranha hagaba hagani kakanhun kaba hapok jingela mujung u kalawan jakmat pakanle yakawai ne kikam patkata kalong pan plilat yakibadon hagani ga shlem ajing hikai banyarap ban plilat yak jingim gujongki kane kalong tak jingsang ban pendrekam yak skill development program ne karukom pan ajing hikai kat kum kasap bat ketip thu kabadon hagi khana kabadon hagani kakenhun panban gijing persang kamlong satya kalenti ka besok hakaba unarona ulabatai pa udap batcha ban kier tawer tang da ki harukom gijing e ki bawan nakadeng ni nakamon hakaba nakweni gijing e kalong ba omla ban pinbet ne ban pinbyang e gijing dan kam juki khana ki bawan ban sha hikai ne banyo yakrukom puli ka bakarpang hagani kijaka Komban chupen pau Bethany society ke don ni ke atli kisnat trikam ki jongka ke jaka pan ai jing hikai hakaliang ke puli ke dangde ke baar ke jing ai jing hikai ki samla bam don kam don jam kanotam lele ya ki tu bla pendep ki jing puli ke ba kum ka kunhun ke sawdong ya kata ke jing kit kle ke kam ke ba ni ke society ke Kyrshan hi Nalade jylla ke long ke hikai ki khna balhe badi kino hikai ke dei da ke jing hikai ya ke thung ka tep kumi ki jhur haki per ki baret haki yeng ne haki school klem da ai da wai kano tam lele hakum kene kapor bala pinjari ye jing khang dam ne lockdown bamla ban pelong school kino hi kai bat ki khna kilale da ka kam chong thong ga tap kum ki jing Kyrshan la ki yeng ki sem ki chong ki wala kataru kum ka knun ka juyo i ta ki jing Kyrshan compare la da ki seng tremon sobha ki seng bhalang ki bor sarkar bat kum joru de ki wei pat ki ri ka prathai Henry hakum gani kapor ka bamanta ka jing e ka bawan bancha e hakmat kalong bamla panyo ban ai ya ka jing kai ka bapura ya ki khna
One is, of course, not everybody can afford a gadget because ICT has come in. And thanks to you, at least, we had some benefactors who came to actually donate some mobiles so that some of the children, at least, were able to connect to internet and avail of services. So this challenge continues, and it is not only for Bethany Society, it is for students all over India, all over the world, that, how do you cope with this kind of a crisis, which none of us have ever lived with. So yes, students all over the world, all over the country are going to miss out on this face-to-face learning, which we have grown up with, which we have lived with, etc., and then suddenly now to change is quite a challenge. But we need to change. The world has changed. The world is going to change, and the next change in education will be a combination of both face-to-face, while at the same time to ensure that children are not left behind. And so in this context, our children can get even more marginalized. One is they come from extremely poor families. Two is some means, for example, they may have some sensory loss, either vision loss or hearing loss, or some may have a problem understanding. So reaching out to them, we need to think of various ways and work with companies who design software so that it can reach out to children. Okay, so that is what we have been trying to do. We have been trying to train all our teachers on how to include other means, like it's not only the teachers talking, but how the computer can talk. So we are trying to engage in software that when the lessons go to students, that whether it is a video or whether it is somebody talking or whether it is automatically the sound also comes. Okay, so that is one challenge. The other big challenge was almost 80 to 90% of our children are from remote villages. So one is the connectivity problem, and I think neither NGOs nor private schools, etc., can solve this problem. It is a problem that needs to be looked at very, very seriously, both by the central government and the state government. How do you bring about connectivity to the last mile, to the last village? And I think that we will need to keep on urging and advocating with the government to to keep this as their first priority, because not only will it help education, it will help adult people, it will help livelihoods, it will help people to sell their produce in the villages, it will bring the world closer to people. So this connectivity to me is one of the topmost priorities that can help health, education, livelihoods, it can help mental health, it can help people to connect. So to me that is very, very important, and that is something that at the policy and government level is most essential. It has been almost, I mean, it's impossible for us, for example, living in Shillong, for teachers to go to, well, one was inter-district travel was stopped, and now even into village, because each village to get in was very, very difficult. So we have tried through, because we also have programs in the villages, we have tried through field workers in the villages to try and connect to the children. Okay. And this year, what we are trying to do, so, that's how all teachers get in touch with parents or with the children through ordinary mobile, just to find out how they are, and when they were here in March, they were here for a short time before the lockdown. We tried, and especially for the visually impaired, etc., we tried to give them the books, and we tried to give them the material in braille so that they could practice, and then the field workers try to connect with them. But there has been a lot of learning loss, and I think that when face to face comes in, we will have to use lots and lots of methodologies and so on to make sure that the children relearn what was supposed to have learned. So we have to accept the fact that there is going to be a learning loss, and there will have to be a lot of reteaching. And so it's stress, not only it's stress for parents, it's stress for teachers, and I think that some of us are, maybe even in our own school, are making a mistake of having examination and tests and so on when there has been no learning, just for the sake of doing it, and often for the sake of reporting to the government that we have had tests, etc., and so on. But as director, I believe that there has been a lot of loss of learning across the state for all children, and particularly for children with disability. Okay, yeah.
No.
That I think, yeah. So we cannot be criticizing the government, etc., and so on. We need to mirror to the government the actual situation in the ground, and see, like, within the parameters of their financial constraints because of COVID, how they can support. And I must say that as far as our staff is concerned, the Department of Social Welfare, I think this has been a constant request to the department to support teachers that are teaching children with disabilities, what we call the so-called special schools, because we don't get grant in aid from the government, but some teachers get supported through the Department of Education through the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. But that is 5 or 6 teachers. But the remaining special educators who have been very trained have been really struggling. So I'm very, very grateful to the government, to the Department of Social Welfare, and especially the Commissioner secretary, to the government, and all this, the director of social welfare, Mr. Sampat Kumar IAS, the commissioner secretary, for actually looking into this problem. And for the year 2021, they have taken a comprehensive view, and I think more than 80 teachers from 8 or 9 different schools from Meghalaya have been given salaries that are almost at par with SSA, which is really very, very good. And so this is a tremendous boost to our teachers, because, and especially during the time of COVID, etc., and all that. So I must first of all congratulate the government, for finally listening and being able to take out money, etc., from the state government, because generally, the money comes from the central government to support staff. So this gives a great boost to them, and we hope that this trend will continue for the coming years, hopefully, so that we can continue to reach out. And for the teachers, it's a boost that yes, the government does recognize the work that they are doing. So we are truly grateful. And also from the central government, what has happened is that money that was due to us for the year 2018-19 has been sanctioned. So at least there is some stability from the point of view of the government. Just to come back to education, what we have also been trying to do, as an organization, is to link with mainstream organizations. So you were talking about education. So one of the things that is going to happen is that we are going to, through CSR, corporate social responsibility, Byju's, which is one of the largest online learning platforms, is going to get into partnership with us, and they are actually going to help more than 200 of our students, so that these students can get the best possible material, and we are going to then download it on tablets, so that these children that are in the villages, they don't need internet connectivity. So we are trying to raise money to get about 100 tablets. So in these tablets, the Byju's will download the material and we can distribute it to our students. So not only will it be good for these students, but they can sit at home with other members of their family and get the best possible teaching learning material from some of the best teachers, not only in India, from across the world. So this is really going to help where there is no connectivity. So that is one way. Secondly, as Bethany Society, we are not only involved in education, we are also involved in livelihoods. And especially these days, when there is a lot of hunger, how do you train people in the villages? How do you train youth to start improving through better technologies and better skills to help to grow organic vegetables, to do poultry, piggery, and so on. So through our rural development unit, we have developed many technologies. So of course we need to pay the staff. We have 40-50 staff in villages, who follow up our field workers, etc. So we need to raise funds for them so that we can support them, and they in turn can then teach villages. So one way we have of doing this is through doing this poultry, which is smellless, and then the chickens help to convert all the waste material into compost. That compost we can sell. People in the villages can sell it, and using that compost we can grow vegetables. And luckily the people of Shillong and the people of Tura really support the work. They come and buy the compost, which can be used then for growing vegetables, flowers, orchids, and so on. So that brings in income, and that income then helps to support our staff, those staff that are not under projects, that need to be paid, kind of a decent salary in these difficult times. So that is how we are able to meet the challenges. So not we cannot say that we have to depend always on the government, we have to always depend on donations. Yes, they are very useful, but almost now 30-40% of our expenditure we try to raise through our own efforts. And I must say also again, the government has been very helpful to us, because seeing this work, they have told us, now why don't you help the government for nutrition to set up these kind of units of piggery and vegetable cultivation in villages, so that children in Anganwadis can have better food. So that also helps to support us, because through a grant we can get money which can then pay our field workers, etc. And so it's a win-win situation. So I must say, although it is COVID, etc., there is hunger and so on, we have been able to support our staff, uh, not to the extent that we would like to, but we have not asked any staff to leave. If they have left on their own, and we've been able to pay them as much as we can.
So we
Correct. So yeah, that's how we do it. And now what is happening is that the other thing that we have done is that our hostels are closed, etc. So the staff have stayed on, because we need to clean, sanitize, etc. But all our staff now, we have trained them to grow vegetables. So when they go back to the villages, they can grow vegetables. But over here also, we are growing our own vegetables, etc. So whoever is here, because there are 15, 20 people are here, they don't need to buy their vegetables from outside. We are growing our own organic vegetables. Many people in Shillong now are wanting to buy our vegetables. People from restaurants are wanting to buy because they are organic. So if we can now form a chain where people that we have trained in nearby villages can grow organic food that is not without using pesticides, we can actually develop a very good market, so that it helps not only us, it also helps unemployed youth to set up small enterprises.